Hi, I'm Kent Cullum, 9-time world champion duck caller. I'm owner and maker of Hobo World Championship Duck Calls. A lot of duck calls are designed differently, and I tried to design mine, which nowadays we don't drink as many sodas out of bottles as we used to and stuff like that. But my duck call is made, the mouthpiece is made where it fits very comfortable, like off a soda bottle at the end. And it's so important how you, first of all, you hold the duck call between your thumb and your first finger. And I like to wrap just coming up like that and wrap the other 3 fingers up like that. If you hold a duck call and you got your hand closed off, see how terrible that sounds? I mean, so you just keep it open like that. You might get to moving it some, but it's so important to hold it like that, and then that air comes out and coming off the back of your hand and stuff. But how to put it to your mouth is very important. A lot of people will put the whole thing in their mouth like. See, you lose air out both sides, or a lot of people will take the duck call and put it on both lips at the same time. Just, if I got them on both lips, you're almost losing air. It's so hard. It's very simple. People make duck calling way too hard a lot of times because it's like talking to people. All you do is you take that duck call and lay it on the bottom of your lip, just right on the bottom of the lip, and just like you're just going to take a drink from soda with a half of it. And then now, everything's sealed off, locked off, and you're not going to lose air pressure. If you're having a blow like that or something, you're not going to be able to control it good because you're not going to be able to have the air that you need and to be able to come out with it sealed off. So by just drinking a soda bottle, it's sealed off. There's a lot of different calls. I mean, back in the day and stuff, before I started making calls, some call, you had to figure out a duck call. A lot of them you might have to blow deep from your gut and put a lot into it and figure out how to blow the thing. Now I've got mine designed they're so simple to blow, and my calls are real easy to blow, but they still get plenty loud enough, and they have a lot of back pressure. And what I mean by back pressure is too many calls that don't have back pressure. Whenever you go to do a cadence or something, you really have to like wah, 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 wah. I mean, you have to work that call, and you can't really get something flowing with a back pressure. It's got hold and stop, and like you can go like a. See how it just you can stop it, or you can. See how easy that all flows and tracks, just and that's what I want. It's something that you can track and flow. Here's one without any back pressure, and how so many people want to blow cut downs and all the stuff that don't change tones. I come out with a hybrid that's solid duck, like. Okay, that's solid duck. But the difference is it don't have no back pressure. So when you have back pressure, you're going to have to really learn how to blow and control and stuff, because if you pick this call up and like right here, I could ask you, how does this sound? Sound like a duck, right? I mean, sounds good. Now then, if I try to take this call right here and do it, sound like a gadwall or something. I mean, it's not got it built. The call don't have it in it. Don't have no back pressure, and you have to. I had to control all of them. Where this and here, they'll just flow. They'll just go right into place. First of all, the first thing you want to do when you pick up a duck call is quack on it. If it don't quack, it's not going to make the right cadences. And it don't matter. Everything comes off cadences, and they either come off of what I've got. I can't sing it all, but as far as humans, we got basses, tenors, altos, and sopranos. Well, if we go out this afternoon and listen to Refuge Full of Ducks or Field Full of Ducks or whatever, you're going to hear what I call in my slang term these 4 different ducks over and over. You're going to hear a coarse hen, a fine hen, a lazy hen, and a bouncing hen. That's the 4 ducks that you're going to hear. But everything either comes off a coarse hen or fine hen quack. If a duck's swimming across the water, a coarse hen quack, she's going to be, and it's going to be just, when I go, like, I'm just going to say, quit, dwit, dwiat. If you go, that's a full gust of air going into it, but it's from right here. Or I could blow it a little bit deeper right here. Get it a little bit deeper, but I'm not having to blow from deep down. Now, so if I'm going to blow a coarse hen quack, it's going to be. And when I squall out, it's going to be the same cadence as the quack. And if I'm going to make it a deeper one, like. I'm going to make it a deeper hen. But the other quack that you're going to hear is the fine hen quack, and you cut the air pressure in 2. It's almost like if we were going to dive down in a swimming pool and we're going to see who can stay under the longest, and we go down and we're holding our breath and we're going to stay down as long as we can. How are we going to let that air out? It's going to be like, you're just going to let a little bit of air slide out. I mean, we're not going to go, we're just going to let air slide out. So it's almost like the word hit, almost like a hit. And if you go hit, you can feel the air sliding over the top of the roof of your mouth. So when I do that and pinch it off, that's going to give me a fine hen quack. Instead, here's a quit, of course. Here's a fine hen quack. You use that same air pressure you can pinch it off more like real tight, or even make it almost between it, kind of, changing it up. And that's what you want to be able to do. You want a duck call. My calls will change tones. I mean, you can tell all the difference in the world in a too many calls. If I try to do it, for instance, I'm on my hybrid, even though it's a good call for when they're out there. If I try to, you got to hit it hard. But people can't mess up hardly if you got a call that, if you got to hit it like that, because you can't. But you can't get to do the most important part of duck calling, because I don't care how many times you break them or whatever. The most important part of calling you can do is finishing ducks, and you want to be able to finish ducks. And so the first thing that you need to learn is quacks. When you pick up a duck call, you want to quack on it, and that's one thing I can't teach you is the right air pressure. You have to figure that out yourself. So when you pick it up, and a lot of people blow quacks like a. That's a little bit hard tone. See what I'm saying? Make it more subtle. I mean, because most of the time when you hear a mallard hen, her quack's going to be. She's will be flying in the air, coming right to you. And you can call in a lot of ducks like that, or Now, the alarm call is if we let's say we walked over a levee, or we just come around the corner and motor and pulled up and jumped all these ducks up, and they go to flying out. This mallard hen, she's going to get out going. That's the only time a duck's ever going to go up on her volume from light to going up. That's the alarm call. So it's not a continued. Each note's going up for alarm. So that's something that you never want to do. And a lot of people, a lot of times, when they'll have a good quack, but they're blowing it too fast. They'll go up. That's almost like you're fixing to get out of Dodge. Now, there's a big difference in how you do that. Now, you can blow a couple by learning and paying attention to ducks. When ducks are feeding or they're sitting there and one of them's kind of aggravated like another one or something, like you're getting too close to my face, she's liable. And when she does that, ducks know and hear that, because she's right there like, get out of my way, But But there's a big difference in that in an alarm call. And one of my favorites is what I call the happy quacks. And that's when they're very content and just swimming around. And it's just like, so you can blow them fast, but there's not any alarm to it. And most times she's feeding stuff and mixing in stuff, and we can go over some different feed calls and stuff like that. But the most important part of calling is when ducks get in close. And the most important part of learning how to blow a duck call, and first I want to get this straight, too many people tell me all the time that, hey man, I want to learn how to call, but I don't know the first thing about it. And before I pay $140, $50, $60 for a duck call, I'm just going to go buy something that's, $10, $20 or something to learn how. That's the worst thing you can possibly do, because like I said, I've probably got 300 or 400 titles in duck calling. It's the only reason I even done. You ain't got to be no champion caller or anything like that. The only reason I ever even got in duck calling contest is just because of my love and passion so much of hunting ducks. It give me something to do in the off season. But it don't matter how much you practice. If you're trying to learn how, if I've got a duck call and I want to do a little short quack or something, and this is all I've got, and I can practice forever. And, the best I can get is that's a good quack. But you're not going to be able to really learn all the other things that you need to do, and you're not going to be able to blow this thing. So you want a call that you can, like ducks. And when you practice and you're learning how to blow a duck call, get something that's good that's got it in. I don't care what duck call. If it don't have it in it, you're not going to be able to get it out of it. And as I've said, the best race car driver in the world, if his car only do 30 mile an hour, you're only going to go 30 mile an hour. You can be the best in the world, and if you ain't got it in, if it don't have it in it, you can't get it out of it. And you can have the best vehicle out there, if it's out of gas, it ain't going nowhere. So you want something that's good. You want something that's very realistic, and especially this day and time before duck season ever even comes in. Ducks are already coming out they're coming out at dark. They're leaving refuges, going out to feed at dark. They're coming back before daylight. The ducks that you get, and then we're not getting near the ducks down because it's not getting cold enough. There's so many different places that they can go right now, and they figured out where all these safe places are. So when you're hunting now, used to it wasn't no trouble at all killing limits of ducks. We had plenty of ducks and working ducks left and right. But now when you go, you better be on top of your game, because they're already leery. They're already, most of them, some of them will just get, tired of sitting on a refuge or something like, hey, let's go get something to eat, or let's go out for a little bit. So you're not seeing near the ducks that you were seeing. And I'm telling you, they're already looking for a reason not to go in, because they've got smart. So you don't want to blow them out of the hole, and you want to be able to sound just like them and watch a duck, and they'll tell you what they want, by watching them. And also, if it don't matter how good you are, once you get to hunting and calling and you're good call, if you look up and you got like this duck's coming right to you, and you hadn't done anything, don't do nothing. All you could possibly do is mess it up. You can't get it no better than what they were doing, trying to come to you. And just watching them and paying attention. But one of the most important part of calling, and most duck calls won't even do, and people laugh at me, they've just changed. Now, I won all these meat calling contests, all these live duck and Main Street and all that, which Main Street, we didn't know that it don't have anything to do with calling ducks. It's more like a beauty call. And it helps. Main Street will help you by learning control whenever you blow a duck call. But it's on volume control, how well you step the call all the way down. And the duck's always going to go from top to bottom. She's not going to go from bottom to top unless if it's an alarm call. But my favorite is when they get in close. And you're going to call different than if you're in a rice field and if you're on a river. If we're hunting, like tomorrow, I think we're going to be hunting in a cornfield or something where ducks is coming to feed, and it's supposed to be fixing to turn cold, and them ducks are going to be coming. We're going to probably do a lot more aggressive calling and more feed calling and stuff, because that's what they're coming to do. If we're happen to be hunting on the river, ducks are going from feeding to the refuge or a reservoir or something, or they're traveling, going somewhere, and they're just tired and they want to stop. Hey, like pulling over to go to the restroom or something, let's stop for a little while, rest. So when they come in, so ducks floating down the river, they're going to be really laid back. I mean, I can have 50, 75 ducks working, and I'm not going to sit there doing a bunch of feed calling or sound like a bunch of refuge full of ducks and going, the way you want to put yourself exactly where they're at. If ducks are floating down the river and just sitting there, like I said, a lot of them sleep and stuff, you're going to hear like a they're coming back around. And you hear one. Just a little bit, what's really perfect for that scenario like that, even in your most, you want to do everything you can to get ducks, but even in your most excitement, you're more laid back. Don't get too carried away. Just make it so real, just like what they're doing. And the same way as if you're hunting in a rice field or something like that. Like, for instance, in the rice field, if we're hunting, too many people blow the same tone. They'll blow the same tone, same note or something. They'll go like, hear how that was? Wah, 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 wah. That's all the same. A duck's going to be. And you want to finish each duck off, even though I'm going to switch and do different cadences and stuff and change cadences and paces. You want to make sure that you finish every duck off. But getting back, and I know that I'm rambling and stuff and I just talk so much, but getting back to when ducks are sitting on the water very happy and content. My favorite part is it don't matter where they're on the river, whether they're in a rice field or whatever. If you're hunting ducks and you got a big bunch working and one or two right off the bat come right in, they're liable to sit on the water. And they're a little bit uncomfortable at first. Well, you can settle them down in just a second. The drake's scraping, the hen's squalling out. As long as you're not blowing them out and you're sounding like ducks, then you settle them down and they start calling. But after they've been there for a while, it's just almost like if we just get it here to the hunt lodge and we come in, we're just kind of running around ragged, a little bit, trying to get everything in place. And then after we've been here, we just get back and we're all chilled out and stuff and just sitting, having a big time and everything. Well, that's the same way, everybody's got comfortable once the ducks have been sitting there for 15, 20, 30 minutes or whatever. And this is, like I said, my favorite part is what I call huh-hus. And there's so much that you can do off of it. A mallard hen, she's sitting there picking herself, cleaning herself. If you'll watch, if we pull up and say, you'll see duck flapping, water kind of splashing and stuff, but she's always pruning herself and cleaning herself. And instead of doing 3-note, 5-note, 7-note cadences like ducks do most of the time, then you got one that'll hold all the way to the bottom. I can show you some of the stuff, but off a little huzz and whine. And this call, you can hear the fineness and the coarseness both. Instead of a quack like a, it's a whine. She's sitting there going. Just a little whine, and then you can get more excited, and there's so much you can do off it. Like I said, she'll be going, and she'll come back with a little low duck. And then you can get in with your little soft quacks, but when you get sitting there going, you go to mixing your feed call, and the realistic feed call, people tell me all the time is, I can't blow a feed call. What do you mean you can't blow a feed call? My tongue won't move fast. What do you mean your tongue won't move fast? A realistic feed, you don't even move your tongue at all. A lot of people, they hear, that's just going like tick, 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 tick. And ducks do that. But I promise you, if we're sitting and we hear ducks going, look up, they're in the air. They're letting you know they're going out to feed. And so ducks make guttural sounds feeding. So if a duck's actually feeding, it's going to be going like, if I've raised, that's how I learned how to call, and everything is, to get all the sounds I wanted is I had a bunch of wild baby ducks and stuff that I raised and would feed them and listen to all the sounds. But a duck actually feeding, they're not going to be going, they're going to be going, they're picking up that rice and stuff, they get to going. They're happy and content and stuff. You're not going to hear a duck going, or going, when she's actually feeding. Because, think about it. She's going, She's gathering it up. So getting excited. You know, if you go listen to ducks, you're going to hear. And if you go, and even if you go to a park or something, you go to feed some ducks, throw bread out, I guarantee you they're going to be coming up going. Making all the realistic sounds. And so you want a call that'll get light, that you can be able to do all that. Now, we've showed you a coarse hen quack, a fine hen quack, and a happy quack and alarm quack, which alarm quack you don't want to ever do. Now, feed calls, I do what I call a refuge feed or something. It won't sound like ducks up close, but too many people, when they blow a feed call, and I ask them, you're blowing it way too tight, how are you doing it? And they go, see how my mouth's closed and everything. Blowing a duck call, you don't do anything any different than we're talking right now or anything. You don't want to, like, whenever I start talking like, hey, what are you doing? No, I'm not going to, you know, really. I mean, people make it too hard. In the same way, whenever they do a feed call or something, they got their teeth together and everything going. They say, man, I run it too far. See how tight that is? Ain't no way. I mean, so if you're going to do a roll or something, make it a tugga, 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 something where it's a. But ducks actually sound like a roll way off. So if I'm calling it ducks and they're way out of range or something, but they're coming and just running it all together, because now the only thing that you're going to do that don't sound realistic to a duck is when they're off, you know, or calling louder, you know, or trying to break a duck, or a comeback call when they've got out of range or something. But that's just to get them turned around, because it sounds like a quack part. But if I run together just like a just kind of going like. Just run all that together. It sounds like a bunch of mumble jumble, but at a great distance, it sounds like ducks feeding. And so I can do that at a great distance and keep that roll going where it sounds like a bunch of ducks. But now they're still coming towards me, and they can start to pick that sound up. Like I said, ducks are making guttural sounds, but they're still out of range. Now I'm going to go from that roll to a hard guttural feed. Like instead of that, we're going to go to. And see how, and leave like them cadences, because they're pretty good ways out, how those cadences are. They continue to come to us. As they continue to come to us, we're going to change with it. And what's going to happen, you know, you're not going to hardly hear one duck, let's say an old lazy hen. You're not going to hear her go. You know, she's not hardly going to go. She's going to do it, and in a little bit she'll do it again or something. But, you know, you want to change up. So from going from that, here they come. We're going to go from that to the hard guttural feed. Now they're starting to come. We're going to start letting up. Here they come, and then we're going to get in. And come around. We're going to get in a realistic feed. So realistic feed, we don't want to sit there and do something fancy like. We don't want to do none of that stuff. We want to be just like they are. And we're going to throw all these other little sounds in there. See how that little. It's never even went over the top. Then there's one that did. So you just mix all these duck sounds up for it's back and forth, changing, and you can go from them little happy quacks to from a. And you're gonna have old fine hen over here. Another one over here, of course. Back and forth. And even if you pay attention to ducks enough, we're talking about alarm call. When they get around in their tight, sometimes you blow two fast ones or something, because a duck, they're all on the water thick, and you get in there all bunched up and stuff like that. They're feeding right along together and everything. But some of them, a lot of times, you'll see them chase another one off or something, invade their space. So sometimes I like going, not really getting up, but a duck understands that. They know, get out. This duck's actually pushing another one off. See, they're not fixing to fly or alarm. She's wanting her to get out of her space. So just paying attention to all that stuff. I mean, ducks are like humans and changing, like I said, fine hens, coarse hens, and people blowing hell calls and stuff like that. If you're wanting to break ducks, just blow low and full like. You don't want to sit there and go. I see people doing that. Like, what are you doing? I mean, you ain't hearing none of that bottom. You're watching them. You're watching that, and you don't got to call it every duck you see. I mean, you're wasting your breath if you think that there's some that's 10 mile over there that's absolutely going. It wouldn't matter if you had 10,000 live ducks. They're not going to do it. It don't matter how good you sound on the duck call. If you're not where they want to be or somewhere that they absolutely won't hit, you can forget it. I mean, you want a great duck call and be able to sound like duck, but you can take ducks and put them in a place. If other ducks don't want to be there, they're not gonna do it. So you pay attention and see if they'll even work where you're at. But if you got a good duck call, you can do all that. But whenever and it's not going to take long. You just hit 3 or 4 notes like. You're looking for some kind of movement where that lead duck's great, for just something where they're getting a little birdie or like they might. And then if they start looking a little birdie, then you pick the pace up from a. And then she falls out one. And you. Go to sound like a bunch of different ducks. And then what happens, a lot of times, you'll have 2 or 3 of them, here they come. And they look back and the other bunch starts to come and they start to go on back the other way. And so you got to stay on them hard. Sometimes you pull the whole bunch. Sometimes you get them 2 or 3. And sometimes the 2 or 3 wants to go back. And if they turn to go back, you get more aggressive. Trying to get them to turn, to come back. And once you get them in tight, working them close and stuff like this, I hunt public ground so much and all that. And most people, you can break them, sound like a refuge full of ducks, whatever. And then once they come over, and if nobody's doing anything, that gives them a little something like, I wonder why it's got totally quiet there. But if you don't have a call, you're better off not to call if you're going to blow them out or do too loud or get too loud or anything. So you want to be able to get down and sound like. But I think it's good. And what I do is like most of the time when you work ducks, unless if they just happen to come straight in, most of the time when you're working ducks, they're going to make 2 circles, 3 circles. Sometimes you get them that second. A lot of times they're going to circle and they're a little lower this time. We're going to get them this next. By time you do all that, well, what I do is what I call the light aggressiveness. All right, here they come in that first, like they start down in here, but they're going to make another circle. Since they're deciding they're not going to set down this time, I'm going to pick the pace up a little bit from instead of just something lazy like. Now I'm going to just get a little more aggressive, even like, and she'll turn. And when she turns, I get back. Just doing all that little, till they float right up to you. But getting aggressive, and I like working them tight and getting them in. Don't let them go very far. You got to watch them if it's calm or something like that. You don't want to let them pick you out. So you pick your places and like that. And if your head good and all that, you can just continue to keep calling. But the whole object is to get them in quicker. I love it when I get them in quicker than what they want to come in. And you're going to make them come in a little quicker because, they don't really care because they're planning on coming in anyhow. So you're just getting them in quicker. Like, get on over here now. Come here. I got to tell you something right now. And it's cool. And I like it too whenever you get those ducks that what I call, it's not very, they're just outstretching their wings. And then they come look at you, but they're really not. They're just milling around, they ain't really wanting to come. And when they can't stand it, when you just keep changing it up and you get them in when you really know they're not even wanting to come in. That's what I like. And the things that I hate is when you're doing everything right and they still won't do anything. So, I mean, it can be frustrating, but with the good calls, it makes all the difference in the world. The small stuff, the little stuff is the most important. And when you're going to practice on a duck call, like I said, they come off 3 notes, 5 note cadence and stuff. When you're practicing, blow it as light as you can. How's this sound? Harsh. It is okay. It's a little harsh. All right, what about this? That might okay. No. Don't. What I'm trying to say is, if it's wrong, when I get to the point where I get to that's it. But so now that I want to keep doing it. But if I go, I don't want to keep. Don't. Now that you can hear that and you know that you need to. If you go, don't sit there and go. Take your time and go. Nah. That's close, but just remember. A little more I didn't put. That's close, but there it is. How to do that? Do it again. There it is. When you do it, just get them dialed in. And then if you're not learning how, just do a little 3-note cadence. And even if you have to go, and it don't flow, the cadence don't flow, you want to get because it's going to be stair step, you want to get this down so that you remember always to bring the duck call down. So just blow and practice as light as you can. Then once you get your 3-note down, then go to a 5-note, and a lot of them blow 5 notes, you get to go, and you don't have to quack every time. And then a lot of them's going to do 7 notes, like. And then, but finishing each one off, and then you're going to get a duck like when I'm calling, I may be like. Switching all these different cadences up. And the fine hand, you take it. Blow those cadences, practice off the small stuff, and then you just keep stepping it up. I mean, and that's how you learn how to change your tones and everything else. From a you can go from a see, it's just all in air pressure. But too many people blow the same tone when they get in close. And I'm telling you, you want to change it up. You want to change. And you don't want to just sit there and keep doing the same thing. But if you got a duck and it's in there, say you're sitting in the blind or wherever, and you go. About that time another duck quacks. Duck coming across. She'll come right to you. Just. She's quacking. You ain't even got to do nothing hard to do. Just, here she comes, boys. She's quacking back. She's fixing to do it. She's in. Why did I just quack? Why didn't you do something else? Didn't have to. She was eating that up. I've always said, I can call in a lot more ducks than one mallard hen can herself. And people's like, are you crazy? How could you possibly call in more ducks than a mallard hen can herself? Well, here's the deal. Not if she's flying around or going out and getting them and bringing them back. But if she'll get behind a tree, and I get behind a tree, she can call, and I'll get in more than she does. Because if me and you're, whoever you are, if me and you're talking on the phone every day, and you call me from somebody else's number and I've been talking to you for a while, I know you. Because I've talked to you every day. I know that. If I'm talking on the phone to you, I'm going to be talking like this. I'm not going to, as we're talking like, well, what's up today? And hey, man, what are you I'm just gonna be that one tone, that one voice, and that's all a duck is, because she don't change. But when you can sound like her mama, her sister, her cousin, and all the little ones, then you can take one man with a duck call and sound like a bunch of ducks. And like I said, don't overthink it, don't overdo it. Just watch what they're doing and do what they do. I make and sell duck calls. That's all I've ever done. That's the only thing that I know. So I'm going to do everything that I can. And let me tell you something. Tomorrow, if I never had to pick up a duck call, if everything we see, they're coming straight in, good deal. That's fine. But just because you can blow a duck call, don't mean that you need to try to do more than what you need to do or anything. You need to let the ducks let you know what it is. They're going to let you know. Like people say, well, what's the first thing you do when you see a duck? What's the first call you use? Well, I don't know. It's going to be different. It's according to where she's at and what she's doing and how far she is and what the scenario is. It might be a quack, it might be a squall, and it might be a fine hen that she's really in on, or a quack. But just paying attention, and when you're calling ducks and working them, you don't want to pie face. Ducks flare from shiny objects and movement and stuff. But if you don't want something shining in the sun, but if I'm calling it ducks and they're working, it don't matter the whole time. I'm just, and if they come over, watching them the whole time, moving with them, because that way you know if they're going to leave, whatever they're going to do, whatever you need to do, and that way you're in charge. If I'm just calling them like this, and they're working, and I've had friends with me before like, hey, where's the ducks? But they're sitting there going, you don't know what they're doing. I mean, you know they're working around, and then you look, but just watch them the whole time. Well, for instance, this here is a prime meat. That's one of my favorite calls. It's a single reed. Like I said, it's going to give you more rasp. And I can still get a fine hen. Okay. Here's my ICU2 double reed. I love it. I don't think there's any double reed in the world getting any lower or anything like that. Now this one here, I've got it real fine and stuff. With a double reed, it's going to give you more whiny, nasally sound. Where you got a coarse in here like, this in here is not going to be near that coarse. But it's still a hen. You get that old fine hen? So when I love hunting with a double reed, like when it's real calm and not very windy, because them ducks will be right around that pit and stuff, and that's just a pleasing sound. And this sounds good too, but it's still a little bit louder. So even when it's calm, I'll calm that down. And here's a double reed. This most of them the way I tune them like this. I've got this in just real fine and whiny for me, but it's a because you can still I'm giving you a little more richer hen on it for you, but for me, because I know I can change it up on this other one. For me, I want it real. Because I know I can change up, but this right here for the normal is good double reed. You can really get that fine here. And you want a duck call that'll almost hang, and all that back pressure, because that hen, she's excited sitting there. You pay attention to what they're doing and switching all these little things up. And I'm telling you, it's money when they get in there close. And then, like I said, I've got a hybrid. And you see all these people sitting there blowing and kicking the water, and most of them going. That's too loud and all that. I mean, you're going, them ducks ain't gonna eat that up. I'm telling you, if they are, it's because they're coming straight in there anyhow, and then it don't matter what you're doing then. But I'm telling you, run more friggin' stuff off like that. And here's a timber that, as you can see, which that barking bee's got a bigger hole. This here, I was showing you my prime meat. I also got a freight train on here. The freight train only, you can make it a single or double reed, but the prime meat, the only difference, the freight train's just got just a little bit more punch, especially if it's windier. Just a little bit more punch, but you can still get out. This timber here, and actually what I'll do is I'll use a freight train, prime meat freight train, and an ICU2, and as it gets later season and they really get hose, I'll take the freight train off and I'll put a timber on, which it ain't gonna matter how they leave. This you can't see from there, but the hole on that timber is a lot smaller, and so it'll get a lot softer. I mean, it's just not gonna have as much air to come out popping it. Real late season. Anyway, it's still loud. I mean, you can do all that, but the bottom line is when they get in close, it's real low. And another thing I like to do is, which these are not mine and I don't make them, but wing setter, I like these that you can pull out. They got two things right here, especially if you're hunting in the field. You can take this thing and pull it all the way out. Take your two fingers like this and just go and back and forth, sound like pintails. Pintails, eat that up, you push it in. This little sound like a Ouija. Or you can peep on it, sound like a teal. Or, like I said, you can take a duck call and, or you can, even if you're a turkey hunter, I mean, you can do about anything on a duck call if you want to take a fast feed call thing and like, sound like a turkey. So just whatever you practice it, if you got it in it, you can get it out of it. If you've got more than one caller, let's go back to before we even get to the calling part. Let's get to the killing part. There's usually 4, 6, 8 of us hunting. And if the guys I hunt with, a lot of times I'm on the river, there'll be 8 of us. I'm on the left caller's box, the other boys on the right caller's box, down the middle. All it is like I'm sitting right here on top of this, and everybody else is sitting down here, and I'm like, here they come. You know, we got 15 coming, more behind, whatever I tell. But the bottom line is, let's say we got 8 ducks. Say there's 8 of us. We got 8, and that's all of them. This is all of them when they get in here. Y'all get ready, here they come. These 8 ducks, I don't care where they're at, and these 8 ducks are fixing to sit down. Let's get them, boys. I'll promise you, the 8 people that I hunt, well, there's 8 of us, there's 8 ducks. Here's what it's going to sound like. Bam, bam. This guy's not going to shoot. Everybody's going to already know their spot because my guys count. You know, I mean, if there's 5 ducks and there's 8 people, the middle one's going to get torn. There ain't no outside one. You know, everybody's got their outside. But it's different. If there's 8 ducks, it's going to sound like one shot. Too many people hunting in a group. Let's say you got all these ducks come down in here, and let's say you got a drake right here 10 foot, a drake right here 10 foot, and a drake right here 10 foot, and you got 30 ducks all right here. The first thing that most people's going to do that don't do it all the time or anything is they want to shoot that closest duck. Everyone's going to shoot the closest duck. And the last thing I'm going to do, if I'm hunting myself and there's 4 drakes, and I got one here, I'm going to shoot the furthest one, and then go to the next one, and then get one of these other ones. But everybody needs to shoot their lane exactly. That way you don't have, it ain't about it's not about, well, I want to shoot that one because it's prettier, shoot the duck that you're supposed to shoot. But if we're hunting, a bunch of us is hunting or anything, and we all work. You don't have to. I mean, we don't do a lot of right now, especially as tough as it is. Just a couple of us is usually calling right now. But if a bunch of us is calling, I promise you it's going to sound good. And that's like me and Christian calling together. We automatically know if duck's getting close and Christian is going. If he's doing feed call and stuff, I'll be like. If he's sitting, we're not going to both be just sitting there going. Quack. If he's quacking, I'll be doing something else. I mean, and you just pay attention, like whatever. If I hear him go, come with a fine hen, I'm gonna come right back. If I hear him do that, I'm gonna come back. More real finicky or something, And if you happen to miss a note or something on a duck call, like old Whisker Wallace always said, hey, if you miss a note, just keep on going. Sometimes they'll not catch it because they get all that food and stuff in them and everything. But I will promise you, when they get around in there tight, if your quacks is not right, or if your little cadence is not right, you can mess it up. Like I said, you don't have to sit with a quack and go. I've heard hens going across there. It's kind of frustrating, but not hardly ever. 99% of the time, when you hear a duck quack, she's going to be, like she may be real coarse, like a, and she might shorten it up a little bit. You can, but make them smooth. They can be kind of short, like, or a little wider. And if I got one sitting on the water, I'm going to make them a little wide. Most times if they're in the air, it's just a good little solid, short, quack. And she's answering back because she's flying. But the little happy quacks is what's so good, too, on the water. But just paying attention to what the others are doing, because, you want to be doing different, it sound like multiple ducks instead of both just doing the same thing. I mean, because, even myself, I'm not gonna do the same thing twice in a row, hardly, unless it's a quack. Mixing it up, and in the same way on the feed, it may be. Now this time it's gonna be. She's gonna do more than that. And then one comes a little, and that's the beauty about it, is you notice how you heard some little low hint where she's just. And then you got one that's going to come back. Over, you're showing displays of different. It's this little light stuff, changing back over, one a little bit louder, one not as loud. But don't blow them out. And I'll help anybody I can. I've got about any color, every color that you need. I hand tune every duck call. The good Lord blessed me with a talent. Be good at something I really love, and so I want to give back. And I love talking to people, and I love helping people, kids, take a kid duck hunting. That's one of the most important things you can do. And remember this, if you're taking a kid duck hunting, or anybody for the very first time, I'll promise you this, make sure you try to take them when it's going to be good and they're not going to get too cold. I promise you, if you get them out there and it's way before daylight, they get cold, they get wet, they don't see no ducks, they're done. They're like, y'all can have this duck hunting. I don't care nothing about it. But I promise you, you take them and make sure they don't get too cold and let them ducks come all in and work and finish off and stuff. I will promise you right now, it's going to be in their blood. They're going to love it. They're going to want to go back and do the same way with kids. And even if a kid gets bored or getting a little bit cold, you look over there and, boy, you can tell he's having a good time, but you don't want to burn them out first time. Anything. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm getting a little bit cold. Are you cold? If you get ready to go, we don't like me, we'll go. If you want to go, we'll go. I'm getting about cold. You about ready to go? Help them out, because I was always as a kid growing up, I want to stay till we're done. But you want to make sure that you don't want to force them, but you want to get them to enjoy it. And then I'll promise you, once they get into it and all that, they're going to love it. And the same way with whoever you take, try to take them on a good day. And if it's not any good, it's part of it. Take them the next time whenever you can. But and that's the thing about it. You're going to appreciate it more when you don't kill them. The good thing about that is he makes it that much better whenever you are killing them.